No, you don't. We don't know, but they don't have nuance.
I think I think you just summed up the criticism that you and I have for this show and how it's so much better of a critique than all the lore stuff. They don't have nuance. You're exactly right, and that's why it makes this show silly in moments like this as opposed to serious. This should be a serious moment. And I just can't help by thinking like, well, is she a villain or not? And now
Yeah,
that's going to be the whole mystery.
because we really don't know. Yeah.
And now they're going to make a whole mystery of it, but like we still don't know, and it seems like in moments she's one thing and then switches. And we had the same issue with Halbrand. I genuinely believed, because he kind of did it with no one around, that he wanted to be a Numenorian blacksmith.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like there was no one around. He was looking longingly at the forge and was like, "Oh, I wish I could just be a blacksmith." And no one around, no one to trick except for the audience.
Maybe that's the game Sauron's playing. He knows this is a TV show, and
he's
he's
the
like,
Deadpool.
I gotta
Deadpool
trick the
in
audience.
this that's why I took the form of this sexy Sauron, because I know what the people like.
Stupid, sexy Sauron.
Yeah. So then we get Isildur is upset. Okay, we're gonna get to some situations later on, but like Isildur is upset, and she's trying to plead her case that she's actually a good person and she did what she had to. Like she's basically making the argument you've made, which is, look, we did what we had to. Yeah, I'm branded, but I don't like them. I tried to escape. And then she asks, would you rather I died in Mordor? And he goes, I don't know. So we do have like this idea here. It's just the show is making it really hard visually to understand why other characters act as if this is not a known thing, that like someone might have done things they're not proud of to survive, and they still live in shame and live in fear, and they just don't want to be treated differently for that action. So they would try to remove the brand, or like I wouldn't even remove it because I'm kind of a coward for pain. I wouldn't even do it. I'd just be like, yeah, they branded me. I don't like them. I'm not going back. Like that's awful that over there. Like they don't care about humans. They just care about orcs. So I'm not gonna live over there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we have Arondir. He keeps noticing these petals on the ground.
Also, there was a shot of Theo in tree jail.
Oh yeah, you're right. There's like a snapshot of Theo who is alive, and he's
with all the wild men.
He's in tree jail.
So it's like a hint that it's Ents.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, to the show's credit, when we eventually do get there, they don't just say it, right? So I think that's one of those moments where like they took my advice, not literally took my advice, but they did what I was asking, which is let us, the audience, we know what it is. We don't need to be told. So just let it happen, and then we can be like, oh, that's cool. We got to see Ents. We got to see whatever. And then if casuals want, they can like ask or look it up. But like they don't, like, you know, we don't need to be told, here are Ents. Here is Tom. Here is the Barrow Down. Like, just let us have these moments where it's like, just let us like be in the moment and see, oh, that's pretty cool, without like letting us, hey, look, fans, we did that for you, kind of thing. And they do a good job coming up here. But you're right. So Theo's in tree jail. I love how you said that, tree jail. That's a great line, tree jail. I'm gonna next time we're watching Two Towers. Which we're gonna do later this year. I'm making that joke. Merry and Pippin to tree jail. Okay, so we have I think the worst scene in this episode coming up. I don't know how you feel, but to me this is absolutely the worst scene.
The quicksand?
The quicksand and monster scene.
Okay.
So, okay, alright. Honestly, I should like cut here and start a new episode and just be like, this one scene gets an entire hour dedicated to how much wrong there is.
Okay.
Number one, she almost slips in the muck and goes, "It might be easier to balance if I had use of my hands." What the hell is she talking about? Like, I understand the concept that she could put her hands out and like balance if she's like walking a tightrope. It's mud. Don't step in the mud. You don't need your hands for that. I also don't think she should be tied because we have a Rondi here who could easily defeat her. So I'm fine with her not having her hands tied. She doesn't need them to help her balance in the mud. So that's my first problem. Also, again, stupid Isildur, am I right? This guy, he just like bumbles into this muck. Like, what the hell did he do?
Yeah, how'd you get him in this situation?
We cut to, okay, so just, I'm gonna see if I can get this done right in post. We have the scene where she almost falls and then goes to Arondir. I could balance better if I had my hands. They then turn and Theo is waist deep in mud.
Okay, so they didn't even show how it happened. He's just in the mud.
He's a toddler. He just wandered into the mud.
Oops.
This absolute idiot. He's in waist deep mud. And he's like, "It's all right. I'm okay." He's like, "Help me out."
You just jump in there.
See, okay, but no, I almost have to. Look, we're gonna get copyright strike to this. I'm just gonna play the clip. He's standing there like arms out, waist deep mud. I'm okay, and then starts flailing around and sinks in deeper. I'm sorry, I actually think this actor's pretty good. This moment sucks. Nothing about this is good. It's hilariously dumb. He's flailing around. Now, Arondir, now here's the thing. You and I know this. The casuals don't. Here's another great scene where you could throw an elf moment. Where
an elf could like walk right up on top
and
of
an elf could walk right up on that quicksand and not sink in. We've seen it already in the original trilogy if you look really closely. And I love how Peter Jackson doesn't even like make a point. It just happens. And I missed it the first few times watching the movies because it's so quick and you're taking in this like there's a snowstorm and all this crazy stuff. You don't even notice it unless you're looking for it. But here you could make an effort to be like, look, this is a skill elves have. He can just walk up on this quicksand. But no, Arondir doesn't. He's like, "Be still, Theo." And Theo, being a little toddler, is like, "No, I can do it." And he's just like flailing around in this mud. And he's not even flailing to get out. He's digging. And as he digs, he sinks lower and lower into the mud. I don't understand. And then he grabs Theo.
You're saying Theo.
Arondir, sorry. He grabs Arondir. And Arondir can't quite seem to pull him out, and then Arondir starts slipping, and then they both look at this girl. I forget her name.
Estrid.
And they're like, "Help us, Estrid." You like, look, Arondir, you literally just said you're not gonna untie her because she might escape, and now you need her help. And then they get sucked into the mud. And at this point, when I was watching this, I was like,
Estrid just runs off.
This is the stupidest.
Oh, it's a fake out. She comes back with a stick.
Yeah, it's a full-on fake out. We know it's a fake out. This is so bad. They are under the mud. Now, keep in mind, nothing has been happening on the surface to make it seem like there's anything under there other than quicksand. In fact, I'm looking at a still right now of the puddle they fell in. It is absolutely impossible that they fell in. Like, there are straight up like trees and grass that have like grown that have just fallen over recently because like orcs cut them down. There's no way this.
Because he jumped in, he didn't just fall in.
Right.
The camera was panned away and he went.
Yeah, he just jumped straight in. But like they wouldn't even be able to both go underneath the ground here. Like it wouldn't work. There are trees and grass growing here. Like it doesn't make sense. So Astrid, is that her name, Estrid?
Yeah, Estrid.
She runs off and well, first she like looks at this like puddle.
But it's a fake out.
And she runs off and grabs a stick and plunges it into the mud. And this somehow aggravates a
steel monster that ate them.
a monster that has been living under the forest. Mind you, there's no water in this forest normally. Just for some reason, it's all swampy now. But it looks like there used to be actual trees here, because orcs walked across here. This is the path the orcs took. There's no water here. Then this monster snake sludge worm thing comes out of the mud, and it's huge. So it was somehow under there. Now maybe it's just like a worm that like feeds off of trees or something, but now it's eating like humans, and elves and stuff. And then they have the classic
Stabs his way out.
stab your way out and do a cool spinorama shot. I mean, I think I remember watching like a Mythbusters on this, and like that would be incredibly difficult to do. But anyway, this is just one of those goofy moments, and like, look, I've even just paused it right now on Isildur's face, who's like just like eyes are bugging out of his head, like, oh my god, what just happened? Like, the whole thing's goofy and dumb and not needed. There's tons of things that you could have happen here. You could have a few straggling orcs and have an orc fight. You could have other monsters that are on the ground, or like on land monsters, fight them. But no, we had a weird worm sludge monster and a weird, like, quicksand moment where Isildur jumps in for no reason. And then there's this crummy line where it's like, there's a lot of unnamed things in this world, but this we shall call supper. I mean, that's lame. Come on. This whole scene's bad. I wish I could skip it. I wish it was I wish someone had showed me this whole episode and skipped the scene. I would like it 10 times more. The scene ruins it.
They're quoting the book too with that. There's unnamed things.
I like,
because they're saying there's like unnamed things in the bottom of Moria that even freaked the Balrog out.
Yeah, something like that. But the thing is, it works there because someone more profound and like in a more profound moment is saying it or writing it. Here, it comes off as weird. Like.
Yeah, because this thing's not deep at all. This thing goes like right near the surface.
Yeah, like literally, like Isildur jumps into this puddle like a little toddler and gets eaten by a worm. Like, did they just watch Dune recently and go, we need worms?
It does look like Dune. Yeah.
Anyway, all right, that scene's done. And I never want to watch that scene again.
It's part of the adding to the desiccation process of Mordor to get rid of the trees. Like, we need some dune worms here. That'll speed up.
Oh, yeah. We need some desert. But see, I got the impression that worm thing lives in the forest and doesn't want the desecration of the forest. And yet it didn't eat any orcs? Or maybe it did, and like, but why aren't there like dead orc armor like lying around? Like, it wouldn't eat the armor. I don't know. I just think if they were gonna set that up, they should have had a bunch of like dead orcs or like armor lying around, or like something happened. You know what I mean? Like, it just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So that's my only problem with like that kind of storytelling, where you have something random happen. You need to at least have some setup for it. I mean, I hate the scene because of how Isildur acts as well, but if you're gonna have a monster come that lives right there in that puddle, there should be more evidence, especially because an army of orcs just walked past. Anyway, let's get back to the Harfoots, because that's actually way better than what we just watched.
So yeah, the store leader has all three of them tied up, including Mary Mac, and she's wants to kick them out.
Yeah, poor Mary Mac, like, he got tricked, and now he's getting kicked out.
And then the Sadek Burrows names comes up, and then the leader's like, that's familiar. I've heard the name Burrows before. And then she tells them of this like myth or an old story of a Rory Mass Burrows who traveled, I guess it would be west,
yeah.
And looking for the Suzat, which is Old English for Shire.
Yeah. Well, I didn't even need to look that up. I already knew that. I thought it was really. I think this is a really fun way to introduce the Shire in a small capacity, and I actually kind of like this. Like, we were making fun of the Harfoots before. I still think they're lores need some work, but their purpose and how they move through Middle-earth makes a lot more sense with this backstory. So see, don't always jump to conclusions. Sometimes you think it's silly, and then they'll explain it. Now, their weird little death cult they've got going on, that needs some work, because that makes no damn sense. But at least now we know why they're wandering and keeping star charts and all this stuff.
Because he's actually trying to look for the Shire.
Yeah, and they just haven't found the right place. Now, I'm kind of confused. It does seem like they found some nice places, and they just chose to keep wandering. So,
Yeah.
And since they don't actually know that they're looking for the Shire, I'm surprised they haven't settled down. But maybe there is, like, in Sadok's book, maybe there is something where it's like always keep moving or something like that. Like, just it doesn't make sense, like, if they were to like think about it now, but it's a part of their tradition, so they just follow it. I'm fine with that. I think the death part is kind of wonky. But yeah, I actually like this. I like this little backstory. It doesn't ruin anything. It actually fills in why hobbits live in the Shire, and it does so in a pretty nice way.
And the Hobbit holes thing, I think we didn't drop that, but when they enter the Stour village, they said, "Oh, Harfoot's living in holes? That seems unnatural."
Yep. And like when I first saw this, I was like, "Oh, this is a great precursor to." So I didn't know this backstory yet, but I was like, "Oh, if Nori or Poppy ever get back to their family or their caravan, they can talk about living in a hole as protection, and maybe that's how the Shire comes." Like I thought, "Oh, this is a great way to set that in motion, even if they never get there." The fact that they simply talked about it is enough to be like, oh, I could see how down the line Harfoots eventually settle down in a small area and dig holes in the ground and that kind of thing, and that's where their houses are. So I can already see the wheels in motion there, which I like. So I actually like this scene. I don't know if people are mad about the lore here. I don't even know if it does anything with the lore. I like it. I think it's good.
Then they see some big folk coming this way.
Yes, this is where I'm confused. I thought this little village was hidden, right?
I guess it's not.
Because
the riders
seemed hidden when we first entered. Like it was like in this like little crevice that you had to know about to get in. And then these like the riders, the assassins, they just walk right in.
Yeah, I guess since they're more sedentary, they don't necessarily. It's not necessarily a secret. Yeah.
True. So maybe like they've seen some of these Stours out and about, and then one day they just saw them like disappear into this rock or something, and they realized, oh, there must be like a little village or something in there. So yeah, it's not terrible. Like I don't hate it. I thought it was more hidden than it was, so I was shocked that it was like barely an inconvenience for this for the assassins to just wander in here, and then the Stours. So the big plot point here is that they're not going to turn over the Harfoots to these assassins. They're like,
yeah, and then the rider just hits the Stour leader. Oh, the rider's name is Brank, and he asks where the Harfoots are. The Stour leader doesn't give them up. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay, then we go back to the elves, and they're having a little memorial for that dead elf.
Yep.
And then Galadriel reiterates that they should listen to her ring. Elrond's still skeptical, and Elrond's father had said that Celebrimbor's life would be in Elrond's hands one day. Elrond agrees to Galadriel, saying that defeating Sauron comes before anything or anyone else. So yeah, that happens too.
Yeah, and we have like they're kind of reinforcing this whole idea that I think I know where this is kind of going, and I think I like it, which is like, why does Elrond get involved initially with the One Ring? I've never had a problem with it, but some people are like, why does Elrond seem to care more than other elves or other groups? It might be because of this oath he's given to Galadriel, where I will do whatever it takes to deal with Sauron, and so fast forward hundreds of years, when the One Ring comes, he's willing to have a council and talk about it instead of just shun away and leave for Valinor or something. So I could see that maybe cropping up in terms of if people had an issue with Elrond in the original trilogy and how comfortable he was trying to handle it when a lot of his people were already leaving anyway. So he's like why even get involved? So I kind of like that idea. I also like this because we're already mad about, or I don't know how mad you are. I'm mad about Galadriel. I don't really like this character. This one of their other companions comes up and is like, "Commander, we hear drums." Galadriel turns, not you. You're not the commander. It's Elrond we're talking to. Get out of here. She's still got this whole
You're not the commander. I said the commander.
Yeah, I would have liked that. I would have liked the beat. They take a beat, they take a rest, and then he's like, no. I meant the commander, Lord Elrond. And then just have her sulk away, I should be the commander of this little group. This is mine. My own, my precious.
It's like a band of 5 people.
I know.
I just want to be in charge.
Do you see why I have issues with it? Because she's so upset about nothing. This is not even a company. It's 5 messengers going to Eregion to say, hey, remember when I said don't treat with Halbrand? What I should have said was, he was Sauron. He may have corrupted everything in the city, so don't talk to him anymore.
If anything, they're really this isn't any better than sending 2 messengers like they did before.
I know. I thought it would be a whole army.
It's 2 messengers didn't make it this time. Let's send 5.
Well, so the thing is, I guess they didn't know initially that 2 didn't make it. But I agree. I think they should have sent more than 5. I think it should have been a quite sizable host.
At least 9,
oh yeah,
Fellowship.
For sure, at least 9. I can't believe it was 5. I thought that was dumb. I was like, this is the perfect chance to have 9, and you shall be the Fellowship of the Ring. And don't even say it. Don't even say it. But let us make that joke. They didn't even do that. They didn't even give us the decency to make that joke. They're just like, all right, 5 random elves, 1 dies to Barrow Wights. Whatever.
Now, why wouldn't Gil-galad go with them and show off Gil-galad being cool?
You're asking a lot of questions that I asked immediately. Gil-galad should basically be marching an army to Eregion to be like, look, Sauron might have infested this city for all we know. We don't even know where he went. We've heard rumors he went back to Mordor. He might, and Galadriel even says, I don't think he did. I think he's still there. And then they're like, okay, we'll send 2 messengers. No! The city might have already fallen. Let's march. Let's go. Yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't make any sense. Gil-galad could have had some cool shit going on here. Also, they could have had some more named elves. I don't know all the named elves of lore that might be around during this time. They could have had them part of this company. You know what I mean? They could have some other... So that people can just be like, oh, look, that's cool. I know that guy from the book. That would be fun for them. That doesn't do anything for me.
There's stuff I didn't notice before because I didn't know better. But what's the dwarf's name? There's a dwarf that's kind of he's helping the king a lot now that Durin the Fourth isn't there.
Oh,
Narfi.
Yeah.
Is it Narfi? That's the one who builds the door with Celebrimbor in the lore.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
So they drop stuff like that,
right?
So the people who really know their stuff.
Exactly. There's a perfect example of it. It did nothing for me. Mm-hmm. I was fine with the character, but it did nothing for me because I didn't know that little bit. And then yet someone who's watching it who does know, that's a great little Easter egg for them. They could have done that with these elves here too. Maybe they did. I don't know, but they don't give them enough lines, or they don't talk to them enough to give them that presence. At least he gets 3 scenes where he's talking directly to the king.
Yeah.
And maybe more scenes down the road. I don't know. So anyway, that's I have some nitpicks about how they chose to handle this, how the elves chose to handle this situation. And then we are back with the group of Isildur, Arondir, and Estrid after their encounter, and they're having a little fire, and there's another crummy. Okay.
Oh yeah, the keys. They throw the keys next to her.
My God. Okay, here's what you do. I don't understand why I have to like redo this scene. All right. Instead of putting the keys on the log and then having her say, "I think he means for you to decide if you unshackle me." No. Have Arondir give Isildur the keys. That's it. Just hand them off. That's it. And then Isildur, we all know. No one needs to say no dialogue. Make it all silent, and just have him ponder it for a moment. Like look down at the keys, and he's like thinking, and he's like looking at her, and then like he comes over and says, "Well, you could have run off and you didn't," and then he unlocked something like that. Why is it weird? Why do they write it in such a strange manner? Or now I think all of them are Sauron. Like it's all weird.
This seems like kind of a bad idea, but I'm horny, so.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm like. This is so stupid. It's just like, well, are you in the mood enough to like see if she's a good person? She could have ran off, but she didn't. Like I don't know. It's so weird.
And you're like kind of hot, so
Yep.
maybe I'll see how this goes.
Yeah, and I'm a d-bag screw up Numenorian. Let's see how the night goes. Maybe I'll find a mud puddle to jump in or something.
And like then she kind of like fake romances him a bit before she pulls the sword out.
Yep. Yeah, the classic like lean in for the kiss and then no. You're just gonna... Okay, here's another situation. So, she could have run off, but she didn't. Right? Back when the worm was attacking them. And now here, her thought process is, oh, well, I could have run off, but I didn't. And now that I'm free, I am gonna run off. Because the people will never treat me fairly. And they'll always... will be an outsider. I mean, yeah, maybe, but this is definitely gonna make you be treated like an outsider. You're now the villain. I don't like. Where are you gonna go? At least wait till you're back in like the main city, and then be like, I can see where I'm not wanting to leave or something like that. But no, she's all weird about it, and has to be talked down. Like, and she even says, sooner or later they'll cast me out. You don't even have to stay there. You could go somewhere else where they don't even know about the Adar mark, and then you're fine.
Yeah. Go to whatever, not. I'm guessing Dale is not around yet, but whatever that is.
Yeah, or whatever's in like actual like Gondor proper right now. Like you can go elsewhere. Yeah. You don't have to stay there. And again, this whole talking her down, it's not even like they do it wrong because Arondir is still around. So he's got a bow like ready,
he's drawn already,
aimed and ready to fire. So then Isildur's like, I won't let them cast you out. And it's like, well, okay, so she might be putting the sword down because of you and your kind words, Isildur. Or maybe it's the fact that Arondir's going to just shoot an arrow at her if she doesn't. So, again, they kind of screw up like this the way this is supposed to play out, which is she gets talked down. There's a threat of death beside her now. It doesn't even work for like the weird romance thing that's been building here. So, yeah, a very weird situation. And then now, in this moment,
the Ents see the sword and get agitated.
The Ents decide we can't let this happen, and they come and just beam her into a rock. Which, honestly, best part of the scene. And I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that because I hate the character or hate the actress. We don't get to see other than one moment, kind of in the original trilogy, and like that close, hit someone and like show their full force. We see an Ent step on an orc that's attacking Merry and Pippin, but we don't get to see like an Ent just backhand someone across like the forest. So I thought that was kind of fun. And this Ent is really upset. I'm shocked they got out of this. If it wasn't for the elf being able being there, if it wasn't for Arondir speaking in Elvish,
Yep. He
They're
yells stop in Sindarin before the Ent can crush them.
Yeah. Now I
And
almost
then
think this should have been all done in with subtitles with speaking in Elvish. Like I think that should have been maybe the way that they go here. Um, I know some people don't like the subtitles and whatnot, but I think that would have like these are kind of like wilder Ents that aren't in tune. Like they haven't met a lot of humans. I would think. I don't know. Um, so just small point, but I think it would make more sense for them to only really know the elf language, kind of. Um, yeah,
although they learn it by the time of Merry and Pippin.
yeah, they learn it by then, so I'm fine with that because they used to be talking with Saruman and all that, so I would have been fine with it then. But even there, I don't know if all the Ents know Common. I think like Treebeard does, but
Maybe that's true.
I don't know how many of them actually know it, because when they're meeting, they talk in Old Entish, which it's a shame we didn't.
Maybe that's just tradition, though.
Oh, maybe.
Like it's the UN, we can only speak it.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the only approved language for our meetings.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I can see that. Yeah, I kind of wish that these two characters, like these two Ents, would have a moment where they talk in old. They don't have to say the line. They don't have to.
But it takes them like a day to say good morning. Like that may be a big problem.
No, but or maybe this is what you do in this scene then, because I kind of like making these little Easter eggs. So what you do is you would have kind of trees groaning while they're sitting around the campfire, but in a very noticeable way. And then that would, and maybe they had it. I have to go back and watch it, I guess. But like you have these trees groaning, and like that is them discussing what to do with this group,
yeah.
And then they come in and attack, and then they talk to them like this. Because you're right, it does take a long time to say anything in Old Entish. But yeah, I mean the scene is pretty good. I like seeing the Ents. I think the Ents are well done here. I like seeing Ents also with like more like Treebeard. He almost seems like he's not dead, but like the bark and like the type of tree he is, it seems like kind of dead except for the very top. Here, like this person, like this Ent has like branches that have like flowers on it and all this kind of stuff. I like that. It's kind of fun. So yeah, I think this is a fun scene. I don't know about you. I thought it was pretty good. I don't want the Ents to be too much involved because right now they would be kind of game breaking. Like the orcs are screwed if like it's just an Ents versus orcs thing.
Yeah.
So it's fine not to have a giant Ent battle, but it's kind of neat to throw them in. So yeah, all that. I like that.
So the Ent asks Arondir if he's ever touched axe to wood, and we saw that he did in season 1. So he says, "To my great pain, I have," and that doesn't work out well for him.
Yeah, that almost dooms him. His honesty almost screws him. I think.
Then he explains that the sword's not for cutting trees; it's for cutting orcs.
Yeah, I actually kind of like that line. I don't know. It's because like the Ent asks him, because they say it's not for felling trees, and then the Ent like it's right into his personal space, and it's like, what does it fell or something like that, and then Isildur yells orcs. I think I like that. It's kind of a fun little moment, and they tell the Ents about the orcs are the ones that came through here, and like this whole like all of this like destroyed trees, that was the orcs, and we're following them. And yeah, so yeah, I like
and
that.
then the one Ent, the girl Ent says that the trees called. Oh, I actually don't remember which one it was. I didn't write that down, but the trees called for help, but by the time they got there, it was too late. So
Yeah.
now that's why they're so mad.
Yeah, and they do throw in that she raised them from acorn or something like that, or from seed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did it as an off quote, and it kind of worked.
Winter
a bit better.
Bloom, that's the name.
Yeah.
Winter Bloom is the name of the girl.
Yeah, and the way they did it, I think it works better than just having the direct, like exact line word for word from Treebeard. So, Like if she had just started saying like many of these trees were my friends, I knew them from seed and acorn or whatever, it'd be a little
Yeah.
too on the nose. So having the other Ent come in and say she raised them from seed and acorn, I think works better. But I like the nod to it. That's fun. Yeah.
So Rondir asks for forgiveness, and that his goal is to leave trees in peace.
Yes.
So the Ents end up letting Theo out of tree jail, along with the other wild men.
Yep.
And then Estrid and Isildur have another like almost kiss, and this time her boyfriend walks by, and it's Hagen.
Okay. So, all right. Before we jump to the final scene. So her boyfriend / husband or fiance.
Yeah.
Was a wild person who
Yeah.
attacked Theo.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So now I'm confused. Is she? And I'm not. This is like I'm asking you, but I'm also asking like, what are we supposed to think?
Does this mean she is bad?
Right. Is she bad, or is her husband also not bad? He was just following orders.
They're all just misunderstood.
I know, but it doesn't make sense because they were so close to escaping. If they don't want to actually be part of Adar's group, they could just leave. But
Yeah.
then she did leave. So at the very least, she has some semblance of like, I don't like Adar. Her husband, less so. He's got a lot more explaining to do because he was about to kill Theo because he didn't have the right mark on his hand. And I don't know. Something's off about the husband dude. Maybe we.
But like, there's also some resentment because they seduced Theo with some Pelargir, so it's like it's playing into that resentment between like the wild men and the civilized men.
Well, that's true, but like you pointed out, they're not even that wild. They've been wild for like a month, and they're not
Yeah,
even.
probably.
They're
That's
not
what's
even
so
wild. They're part of
kinda silly
Adar's
about it.
group. Like
Yeah.
they're wild in the sense that they're against other humans, but they have a group of people that is on the march and is has some semblance of culture that they return to. Like they're not just out in the woods by themselves for years and years and years. Like it hasn't even been that long. They have no reason to be considered a different. Like it just seems a bit crazy to me. So I'm confused about how we're supposed to react to her fiance being alive, and I think.
That's when Isildur walks away too.
So Isildur walks away. He's sad. He is he's not gonna.
I think I've heard Nerdrotic use the word Inceldor.
That's good. Yeah, a little bit. She's taken though. Like that's you know. It's not like she rejected him. She's taken. That's all. Now I ask you this before we jump to the final scene, because final scene's gonna take us a bit. I think.
Well, she'll definitely leave Hagen for Isildur because she wants running water.
Right. No doubt. He's
like, screw this.
Isildur may be in Seldor, but he is a alpha in Seldor, and he will be able to eventually woo her with his running water. But I digress.
Yeah.
I think a fun way to do this, now this is a bit more serious, a bit more Game of Thrones-y maybe, is you have some sort of confrontation where her fiance is evil, like he just straight up is part of Adar's group and like hates other people.
Oh yeah, they could play this out for a while.
Yeah, Isildur ends up having to kill him in a combat, maybe self-defense, and then over time has to like reconcile with her, and then they become a couple, and then there's always this like oh, but you killed my fiance, and she's like can't let it go. It's like a tragic love story where they are in love, but her fiance is still alive. Then they kill, like he kills him, and then she's like dealing with that situation where she didn't even like her husband. Maybe he was like abusing her, and then Isildur kills him, but she still is like, you killed my fiance, and she can't get over it. I think that'd be a fun way to take this character and make it all tragic. But I don't know if you want that in this kind of show. Maybe the show should be more.
Yeah, they gotta play up the romance a bit with Bronwyn gone. We need a new, we need a little new love dynamic going on.
True. Yeah, I think there should be some fun stuff there to come. Even if he's not, even if the husband or fiance is not evil, I think they can definitely have some fun, flirty moments where she's like, "Damn it, I don't wish he was dead, but like, I had because I hadn't seen him for so long, I sort of let him go emotionally, and now I'm more attached to Isildur." So I can see that like.
It's funny how she lost him when he really wasn't that far away at all.
Well, this is my whole problem with the scene is like
they found him at the camp like closest to the village.
Yep. Oh yeah, no, like he was basically right there. She either left the camp or was sent away to like spy on the other humans. So I just don't even understand like the dynamic of what we're supposed to take away here. It's very confusing because they won't let nuance play out, like you said. So yeah, that's it for that one. And now we have the final fight here, the final scene, which I think is pretty cool. And I'm curious to see what you think about this. So. The first bit, I actually don't hate how this plays out. So we see some orcs that are traveling through the woods nearby where Elrond and Galadriel's company are, and the orcs.
Well, you need we need to talk about like Theo thanking Arondir, and they have the "I made a promise" line. Thank you for keeping it.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's a good line. It's a good line. Yeah,
and then Arondir. So they've like reconciled. Like Theo.
Yep.
Theo. Arondir's not dead to Theo anymore.
That's right.
So the Arondir says he needs to follow the orcs and confront Adar, and he invites Theo, but Theo says he has other promises to keep. So that's actually kind of a mystery. What promises did Theo make?
I don't know either. I don't know what the heck he's talking about. That's why I skipped it.
No, but like maybe he made some promises to the wild men when he was in tree jail. Like that's possible too.
Or did he make promises to Sauron when he stuck that sword in his arm? I have no idea what he's talking about. I think Theo's just being weird and cagey for no reason.
Maybe he promised his mom that he would like take care of the village or something.
Oh, like he would become the new healer or something like that.
Yeah, that can happen.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, everyone's making promises. I don't really. Oh, also Theo was with Galadriel in season 1.
That's true.
He did talk to her, and they talked quite a lot about, dealing with like their grief and like how to go forward. Maybe he made a promise there. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really sure what Theo's talking about. Haven't really seen enough from him in terms of growth this season because he's just been kind of mean to Arondir because he's struggling with his mom's passing. Then he got kidnapped, so I don't really know what his aim is yet. I do want to see more. Like, I do think him and... We talked about this in a previous episode this season. I do like the parallels between him and Isildur. It does give us a lot of
yeah, I mean, you were confusing them. So.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, so when we can literally have a much fuller story of both characters when they each have their own situations, because the idea is they react in a similar manner, and so we get to
yeah, because Theo's a kid and Isildur acts like a kid. So.
Yep, exactly. Just jumps in a mud puddle up to his waist for no reason. I'm okay, guys. So I guess they're gonna part ways. So that's the idea there. They part ways, Arondir and Theo. I don't know where Isildur's going in all this. He's just kind of pouting because he's not getting any.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I'm curious to see where he ends up in all this. So like my assumption, I don't even know why Arondir is going off by himself. He's screwed. He cannot take on a whole army of orcs. So I don't quite get his mission. I don't get.
And he's going the wrong way because Adar is with Galadriel, as we'll see.
Yeah. So like I don't really understand. Yeah. What?
They're basically at the Barrow Downs.
I know. And he's
which
still...
is really far north.
Yeah.
So Adar just moved a whole army. He overshot a Rhaegon. So he didn't even.
Oh man, yeah, we're gonna get to that. I mean,
but that's interesting because Adar thinks Galadriel's in league with Sauron because that's what Halbrand led him to believe.
Yep, exactly.
So
Hence why the ending of this season makes a lot of sense, which we'll get to. Or the ending of this episode makes a lot of sense because. Anyway, so yeah, I guess we'll leave on with these characters in that it's unclear from this scene and this episode where they're gonna go next, and I'm also confused why they're splitting up. So there's a big confusion around these guys. This is actually my least favorite group right now to follow. Nothing's been really happening, and Isildur is my least favorite character currently, just because he has a lot more screen time than Galadriel. Yeah, I'm curious to see what happens there, but at the same time, if they split up, does that mean we're gonna get more screen time for everyone? Because now it's Isildur on his own, Theo on his own. Like, I don't want them to split up. Stay together so it's like really quick snippets of like mud puddles and you know, campfire makeout sessions, whatever they're doing. I don't care. Just keep it short and sweet. So, yeah, we get back to the elves, and yes, we kind of spilled the big reveal here, but yes, Adar has brought his army of orcs, and they are
Barrow Downs.
to the Barrow Downs for some reason, and they are in the woods, and the elves see them. Now, I actually really like how they've set this scene up. So the elves are watching, and they're watching from a distance, and they see the orcs, and they even see Adar, I believe.
I don't know. I don't think they notice Adar.
They mention Adar might be in league with Sauron at some point. So yeah, you're right. They might not see Adar, but they say Adar might be in league with Sauron. Maybe that's why the orcs are here. They don't really know why. But a legion of orcs have marched into elvish lands. We are at war, is what Galadriel says. Yeah, a big surprise that the former commander of the northern armies wants to go to war again. From Galadriel, the warmonger. And now, unfortunately for them, Gil-galad's not there, like you pointed out. But because now they got to send a messenger to him, or at least that's what they want. Elrond wants to do. Gil-galad must be warned. Now, the orcs shoot arrows
randomly.
They're hunting a horse.
Yeah, but then they hit one of the elves.
I think this is amazing. This is maybe one of the best setups for this scene here. It's phenomenal. So the orcs are randomly hunting a wild horse, or like an escaped horse or something. They fire arrows at it, as orcs often do for no reason, and one hits the tree beside like Elrond, and the other one hits one of his companions. So his companion makes like a grunt. He's like, oh, and then the orcs are about to leave, and then he's like, oh, and he like makes a groan. And so then they have to like tackle him down, hold his mouth closed so he doesn't make any more grunts. And the orcs are like, what's that sound over there? I honestly like it. I know I'm laughing. I actually do like this setup. It's kind of fun, but at the same time, it makes more sense why the orcs would like investigate the sound. Oftentimes, there's no reason.
I shot an arrow and I heard someone grunt.
Yeah.
I hit something.
I like, I like it. It makes sense for why they would go and investigate. Oftentimes, there's no sound, and they're just like, "What is that over there?" And then they like wander over, and they get involved in a fight. Here, they're like, he starts chuckling. He's like, "I must have hit something," and then they go over there. Oh man, I think it's a good one. Anyway, so okay, we get this magical scene too here, which is kind of cool.
She heals him, yeah.
Yeah, she not only does it like, because like I thought they were gonna rip the arrow out, and it's one of those classics like, oh, you shouldn't rip the arrow out, but at the same time, orc arrows are poison. What do you do? I don't know.
If they're poisonous, yeah, I think you gotta get it out of there.
Right, and so then they're gonna bleed out. So they don't actually rip the arrow out for some reason, and Galadriel is just able to use the ring, like one of the elf rings, to not only remove the arrow, but also like heal this elf, which I think is pretty neat. And it gives us a sense of like the power of these rings, and also why she might eventually become the Galadriel we see in the original trilogy, because she's going to be an elf with immense power such as this due to the ring. So not necessarily due to her. She does have power herself, but the ring is obviously elevating it to some degree. And that also kind of explains why Elrond, whom we've talked about also having a ring at the time of the original trilogy, why his magic is so much more powerful. Why they need to get Frodo to Elrond, right? Like
right.
I've always wondered what makes some of these elves way more powerful than others, and it might be these rings, which is interesting to think about. I don't know how much lore that is, or if Elrond is just a powerful magic user and is after all the events of this, maybe he takes it up and learns some more elven magic. I don't know, but these rings have immense power, which is cool. But there's a problem. The orcs are coming, and so Galadriel decides that she's going to give the ring to Elrond, the ring she's holding to Elrond, and says, "Get you and the company to Lindon." Now, I don't know where they are right now, because the time jumps are crazy in this show. So I don't know if they're closer to Lindon or Region anyway. I don't even know where they are. So
wherever the Barrow Downs are.
Well, but again, we don't even know if they're still there, because this could be weeks later.
No, but they were in the middle of doing that funeral for the guy. Like...
Oh, you're right. So you're right. This is definitely close to the Barrow Downs. As far as this fight scene goes, I think it's pretty cool. There are moments where it's like the slow-mo's a bit much. They could have left it in real time, but for the most part, it's a cool fight scene, and I do think they are getting better at making Galadriel's fight choreography more in keeping with the style of fighting we've seen from like the Peter Jackson films, where it's somewhat more believable. Not The Hobbit. I don't want to talk about The Hobbit. I'm talking about the original trilogy, where like Legolas's style. This is a bit more closer to that than it is to kind of the fantastical fighting we've seen in the past, especially the first episode of season 1, where she's doing crazy stuff and fighting the troll. This is a little bit more down to earth, but yet still allows her to do amazing stunts that most humans wouldn't be able to do. So I think that's kind of cool. Now, two big things happen here. One, we've already talked about Adar coming and not killing Galadriel, so I think we'll get that one out of the way first. You've already mentioned exactly why this probably happened. Adar was told by Sauron, Halbrand at the time.
So they're like, I'm looking at the map now. They'd be like halfway to between Lindon and Eregion right now.
So Elrond did say he wanted to go warn Gil-galad somehow. So
yeah.
So maybe it does make sense for them to go all the way there first and then come back. I just think it's a mistake on the commander's part, being Elrond, that you don't at least attempt. Look, all these elves here, they know they're in for a tough road ahead no matter which direction they go, probably. So I would say some have to try to go onto Linden and stop whatever's happening there.
That means Adar really marched that army.
Yeah,
like,
it doesn't make sense. Again, lore-wise doesn't make sense. Geographically, it doesn't make sense.
So this is kind of a big fast travel issue. It's like, I guess it's one thing to move one person, but they moved the whole army
Now,
without even like hinting at it, all the way
Right.
from.
like, elves didn't even know about it. So, like, there should be outposts. Like, I just don't understand how, like, this army gets there. Anyway, yeah, I think we're gonna find out later that there was probably some sort of plan where it's like,
But then he went way past Eregion.
well, so I wonder if the plan was supposed to be, look, Sauron
Are they
is-
attacking? Are they attacking Linden? Is that the idea? Let's just.
Well,
go
they're
for-
attacking where Sauron is, and they don't know where that is yet. So maybe the thought was, we'll go in between Linden and Eregion, and
Kind
then
of
when
play-
Halbrand tells us,
But play between the man coverage.
yeah, exactly. Like, well, because like their last conversation with Halbrand was, he knows that like him and Galadriel are gonna go find where Sauron is, and they're gonna then come and tell Adar, and Adar will then go fight him. So I'm not really sure if they mapped out a whole plan here, but I could see Adar saying, "Fine, we'll just go in between here, and then no matter where he is, we can just quickly get to him." I don't know if that's the greatest plan, but I could just see it. Like, I could see the show saying that at some point. So yeah, so Adar is here. He doesn't kill Galadriel, so they do eventually take Galadriel down. And she's on the ground, and they almost kill her, but they spare her life. And it's, like you said, it's because Halbrand said that he was working with Galadriel, or Galadriel was working with Sauron, or something like that. And so, like, Adar's keeping her alive, because she might know where Sauron is. And so if Halbrand isn't able to come through, then we'll have Galadriel to help us find Sauron. Now, she doesn't actually know where Sauron is, but Adar doesn't know that.
Like, let's think about this. Adar just moved a whole army from Mordor
Yeah.
to basically the Shire, like halfway between the
Yep.
Shire and Bree. Like,
Yep.
in a week, and it took Frodo how long to walk there?
I know, the fast travel is crazy. It makes no sense, and I don't know how they got past. There would have been towns and other minor kingdoms, maybe other dwarven settlements along there, maybe, like all sorts of things that should have been flagged.
Frodo, they really went the hard way, Frodo. You know,
Yeah, we should actually
They-
talk about this because it's brought up a few times.
they should have listened to Boromir and gone south. Like, that's the way we would normally go.
And some people have argued that the best option is getting to the Grey Havens or to the coast somewhere, taking a ship, going up the river to Osgiliath, and getting off there. Because then
Yeah.
you don't have to walk, and it's way faster travel time back in those days to take a ship. Yeah, we can
Yeah.
talk about the actual better routes. And then you and I have also argued, even if you thought that Rohan was corrupted, why not go even further south and around that mountain range, and hook up with Gondor from the south?
Yeah.
So yeah, all sorts of things. But yeah, Frodo took a crazy journey, and I don't know how these orcs got here because they wouldn't have gone through the mountains, so they would have had to travel through the Gap of Rohan, and then up north through what I can only imagine is like mostly woods around there, unless they go further west to like more of like a plains, I think. So I don't know. It's kind of crazy. I don't like how this army jumped so quickly. Because again, and I brought this up at the very beginning in the first episode, how much time has passed where so Halbrand leaves Eregion, goes all the way to Mordor, gets fake captured by Adar, convinces him that he can find Sauron, rides a horse, I guess, all the way back to Eregion, and then is now working his corruption. All that time, the elves went from Eregion to Linden, had a bit of a fight about the rings in Linden, sent some messengers to Eregion that died, and they never heard back. And now they're on their way, and it just seems like they would have, like, this company of elves would be at Eregion way before the orcs get up here. It just doesn't seem to make sense, the timelines of this. But yeah, so that's the situation. Adar is alive up here and trying to find Sauron, and he's captured Galadriel. And these elves then say, "Oh, she saved us, and she may have saved the elves. Yay! Like we'll honor her memory or whatever." And Elrond goes, "She did it to save the ring." Now, I actually like this. Like I'm starting to like this storyline here about Elrond not liking this ring. At least for now. It might get old on me a little bit, but right now I do like this, that like Elrond really doesn't trust it, and it's setting up this dichotomy between Galadriel, who's like super open to these rings, and Elrond, who's not. But I do wonder, like, it does seem pretty moody of Elrond to say this, like what? Like Galadriel can't do anything good without thinking with the ring. Like that's his thought process at this point. Is like whatever Galadriel does, she does for the ring.
Yeah.
It just seems like he didn't listen to Ceradan at all about how, yes, you have to be aware of the power of these rings, but like you're still in control of them, and you can still use them in good ways, and you know you're still you. You're not fully corrupted, and I don't know. Elrond just seems to like have not listened to that moment. Why even include that moment where they're talking about these rings if Elrond's just gonna ignore it and be like, "No, these rings are evil. Galadriel gave me this evil ring." She's just yeah. I don't know. I do like that Elrond is really upset with her, because I do think that if they were to have made up like really quickly, I wouldn't have liked that. It's a bit like they have very opposing views on a very serious topic, so it's gonna take some time to figure this out, and eventually one of them is gonna have to admit they were wrong, and we know it's Elrond, so eventually he will have to admit that these rings are good. Yeah, he gets one. We know this. Like we know he eventually agrees that these rings are good. So, yeah. For now, I kind of like it, and I do like how we end on this. They've started to do better cliffhangers this season, I've noticed. Like here, Galadriel gets captured. The human and elf of the Southlands, they're parting ways. So Isildur's going off maybe on his own. Theo, Arondir on their own, all that stuff. So like, well, where are they gonna go to next? So you're on a hook there. The last time we saw Halbrand / Sauron / Anatar, he was meeting with the dwarves. So like, what the heck happened there? Like that, we're still waiting on that cliffhanger. So like, I do think they're better and smarter at setting up these hooks to like end an episode on that makes you want to know what happens next. So yeah, I actually think this is one of the better episodes, minus the one scene that I really hated. And I do think, no matter what you've thought about the show up until this point, and if you've stopped watching after episode 1 on season 1, or if you stopped watching after season 1, I would definitely pick up and watch this episode, if nothing else, just so you get a sense of what people have been longing for, especially hardcore fans, for so long when it comes to this topic. Yeah, I guess that's my final thoughts. Anything else you want to leave off on this episode? Any final thoughts or notes? All right.
No, I think I've covered it. Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for this one. Let us know down below what you thought. There's a lot of things in here that I can see people commenting on. So yeah, I would like to read them at some point and do a whole episode of ours dedicated to talking about various either lore-breaking things or excitement about seeing certain topics and certain themes on screen that I honestly thought we never would. I thought Peter Jackson had set that bar, And so I'm curious to see how people found, Tom Bombadil, or the Barrow-wights, or seeing Ents in here, or all sorts of stuff that I do think there was a clamoring for, especially in the die-hard Tolkien community. And now we see it, and I think they did a pretty good job. So let us know what you thought.